Our next lesson is 10.6, secants, tangents, and angle measures. So we're still going to focus on different angles and arcs that are formed, but now we're going to do it when there's secant lines and tangent lines. I'm going to go back to the last lesson that we did 10.4 and just remind you that when we had two chords, which would be the same as two secants, if the intersection is on the circle, then we're going to use arc equals 2 times angle. And this is another picture with a secant and a tangent. Again, the intersection on arc equals 2 times the angle. Now for newer stuff, if I have two secants or chords and they intersect inside, right? This is an interior. Then the angle is going to be the average of its intercepted arcs. So angle 1 here is going to be the average of these two arcs. Notice it's the ones across from each other with angle 1 going through it. And then angle 2 is the average of these two arcs. Again, it's the one going through it. So when we talk average, we're really going to have the angle equals the arc plus the arc divided by 2, right? Average is when you add up a certain number of things and divide by however many you added. So right here is our formula. Angle equals arc plus arc over 2. So we're going to look at the finding the value of x. In our first one, x is here and it's an arc. Right? This is our angle, and that's another arc. And they all line up. The angle here lines up with the two arcs I'm looking at. And as long as they line up, I'm good to go, and I can make my equation. So angle equals arc plus arc over 2. Now, the biggest mistake when we try to solve this is some people try to divide here, but I can't divide unless I'm dividing both. So the easier way to do this would be to multiply both sides by 2. Right? Those cancel, and now I'm left with 256 on this side equals x plus 154. All right, I can subtract 154 from both sides now, and I get x is 102 degrees. B is actually trickier. If you notice this, x is here, and x would really be going with these two arcs. But we don't know them. I know these two arcs. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pretend that there was a different variable here, y. And y does go with these two. So I'm going to focus first on finding y. So we have angle equals arc plus arc over 2. So this ends up being 130 over 2, or 65. So y's angle is 65 degrees. If you notice where x and y are, they are a linear pair. And if you recall, linear pairs add to 180. They are supplementary. So we know x plus y equals 180. I can do x plus 65 equals 180. And that's how I get x is 115. All right. Go ahead, give the next two a try. Neither one is as hard as B. Everything lines up as it should be. Pause it, and when you're ready, come back. All right, for A, we should have gotten x equals 95. And for B, we should have gotten x equals 82. All right. The other kind of intersection that can happen, we've seen on the edge of the circle, we've seen inside, and now we're going to talk about outside. So that's either two tangents, two secants, or a secant and a tangent intersecting outside. The angles being formed outside for all three of these, right? Angle A is outside. When we do that, we can say that the angle is equal to the outer arc minus the inner arc divided by 2. All right, so in this case, it would be arc DE minus arc BC. Divide that by 2, we get A. Again, arc DC, arc BC, divided by 2, we get A. The ones where we have two tangents, a lot of times they're only going to give you one arc or the other and ask you to find the angle, or vice versa, because when you have two tangents here, you only have two arcs in the picture. And since we know they add to 360, if they gave me one, I could take it away from 360 to find the other, and then I could focus on finding the angle. And that's actually what we're seeing in example 6, part A. They want us to find the measure of angle L, so right in here is going to be our variable. We're going to make a little x. We know this inner arc here is 102 degrees. So I would do 360 minus 102 to get this outer arc. So when I do that, I actually get this is 258. Now I can set up angle equals outer minus inner over 2. So x equals the outer minus the inner, so that's 258 minus 102 all over 2. So I'm going to do the top first, no variables here. I can actually simplify that, so I get 156 over 2. So x, or what we were really looking for was the measure of angle L, equals 78 degrees. All right. In B, again, outside here, this is the angle. 95 is my inner arc, and now my outer arc is going to be x. I can't just do 360 minus 95 because of this arc over here, right? The circle's not made up solely of those two arcs. There's a little third one over here that we don't know. So I have to call this x, and we're going to have to set up our equation. So angle 56 equals the outer arc minus the inner arc over 2. And just like before, we want to get rid of this divided by 2 first. I can't divide both parts by it, so it's easier to multiply both sides by 2. We're going to get 112 equals x minus 95. And I can add that 95 to both sides, and x, or actually, let me get rid of that, the measure of arc CD equals 207 degrees. Okay. So go ahead and give these two a try, pause it, and when you're ready, come back. All right, we should have gotten the measure of angle S was 54 degrees. And for part B, the measure of arc BC would have been 17 degrees. All right, almost done. Number 10 is a little trickier. There's a few parts we have to do. So they're telling us the diagram shows the path of a light ray as it hits a drop of water. The ray is bent or refracted at points A, B, and C. They're telling us the measure of arc XY, so that's this arc in here, is 84 degrees. And the measure of angle B, the angle in here, is 64 degrees. So we're going to actually have to do two things here. This angle of 64, if I look at it, it's on the circle. And that means this arc is double that. Remember, when we had on, it's arc equals 2 times angle. So this arc here is going to be 2 times 64, or 128. Now, to find angle D over here, I have the outer arc of 128, the inner arc of 84, and I'm finding angle D. So now this is outside. I'm going to use angle equals outer minus inner over 2. So x equals 128 minus 84 over 2. And I can simplify this. I get 44 over 2. And the measure of angle D is 22 degrees. So what I'm going to ask you to do is, this is a little bit of mixed practice. Determine if the intersection of the lines or the vertex of the angle is inside, outside, or on, in, out, or on. Then find the value of x. All right, so again, pause when you're ready, check your answers. All right, 1 was on, and we got x is 9. 2 was in, and we got x is 5. And 3 was out, and we got x is 11. All right, that's it for this one.